to our event. And we're going to be starting in about 5 minutes. We've got an empty room. Let me just show you real quick what our room looks like. So it's you and me, baby. You and me. And in 4 minutes, we will begin the show. But I am streaming from my phone. So got 2 laptops and the phone, doing some diligence, man. Hot-spotted, what they used to call tethering. And can't seem to load all my tabs for my presentation. Here we go. That's finally loaded. Yes, I understand. Accept cookies and hit X to stop loading. Okay. Okay, part 4, part 5. Okay. Oh, good. I'm all loaded up. If you'd like to follow along with us as we travel through the world of how to become a better writer and not bang your head, because, it's called How to Bang Your Head, but, hey, you can bang your head all you want to, but I'm going to teach you how to bang your head first and then how to become a better writer. Okay, so that's loaded up. Loaded. So as I am preparing here, I'd like to take the opportunity to announce my sponsor and thank my sponsor, PegasusE&E.com. Pegasus Entertainment and Events is putting this on, and this is proudly sponsored by them. I really appreciate it. Tracy Rosa, shout out to you. Shout out to everybody at Pegasus. And they are doing really well. And I have never had an agent before. So I guess as a writer, I've done one event. That was a meet and greet, author's fair. Oh, half lemonade, half Dr. Pepper. Good stuff. Did one event at a writer's fair, and that was really well. We sold a lot. But then I met Tracy through Brian and through my monthly entrepreneurship group JB Farrell puts on once a month at the Sacred Grounds Coffee Shop in Lafayette, Indiana. So that was really a unique experience to meet all these guys who are into arts and they're doing writing. And Brian is a great writer. Brian K. Morris. Let me see if I can find him. Anyway, if you go to Amazon and Google Brian K. Morris, you'll find a lot of his writings. He is a great writer. And then PegasusE&E.com for Tracy's page. I am rather warm. There's an air conditioning unit over there, but no extra fans that I can see, which poses a problem for me and my sweatiness. So during the course of the event, I will be going through a talk. The talk is listed on a blog, and the blog is, if you would like to go there now, howtobangyourhead.blogspot.com. howtobangyourhead.blogspot.com. And we're going to be starting with our first phase. Our first phase is the easy phase. The title of this entire presentation is How to Bang Your Head instead of writing your book or your story. So that's going to be the emphasis of phase 1. Now, how to bang your head. You've got to find a nice wall. This wall will do. and strike against that hard surface, and then repeat as necessary. So that's the emphasis. That's the totality of how to bang your head. So that took about 1 minute of your time. Now, what I'd like to do is get into a little bit of more past that phase, because as a writer, you're going to understand several things, and understanding those things about the craft, about who you are, about what it is you want to do, what it is you should do, what it is you're terrible at. You're going to be finding out a lot of things about writing and getting past the banging your head phase, because you never want to go back to that phase. Trust me, that phase is an uncomfortable phase, and necessarily you don't want to do that ever again. So how to do that, we've covered that. You know how to bang your head. So that's the first phase, the first post. If you're following along, howtobangyourhead.blogspot.com. We're going to go now to phase number 2. And that is phase 2, watching a screen. Now you're watching a screen right now. Hopefully in the future, you can turn your screen watching passive hobby, waste of life, activity. It's not really an active activity, though. It's passive activity. You can turn that alpha wave, but see this big bump right here? That's my frontal lobe. It's huge. Look at that. I've got a weird looking forehead. So I can't watch TV, and it doesn't matter what size your forehead is. You could be Kal-El from Krypton and still get bored watching TV. I get bored watching TV, even though I've got ADHD and Asperger's syndrome and all this other stuff. But I want you as in every phase of life, or in every person type that you are, I want you to become frustrated with television. I want you to become aggravated. And I'm not talking the news. Stop watching that immediately anyway. But I'm talking about all of TV. I need you to become frustrated with all of television. And then I want you to become frustrated with movies. And then I want you to become frustrated with mini episodes on the internet, like The Guild or something, or whatever mini series you like to watch. Even if it's a short movie on the internet, it still can be frustrating. And I want you to do several things with that. So the writer as a fungus-covered two-toed sloth. So this is where we begin. We stop banging our head, and now we're just a bleh. And so now that we're a bleh, we need to get past that. I realize my microphone is not picking up a very good level, so I'm going to be bringing this closer to me. Check. Hey. All right, can you hear me? Okay. If you can't hear me, wave your hand. How would I know? I don't know. So you begin your quest, your journey, your je ne sais quoi path to become a writer by not destroys the whole thing, but whatever. That's fine. You can destroy movies with your movie, destroy the whole integrity, right? I care. I really do care. I'm a horrible liar. However, I would like to stress that it's not my job to care. It's my job to pay money for their entertainment so that I can become, fat and happy? I don't know. But, okay, back. Sorry, I rabbit trail so much. You're going to find all sorts of game in and about my interweavings. So you start there, you're watching TV, you're learning, you're growing, you're reading and watching TV. And it's sad to say that most people are watching more TV than they're reading, but that's okay, I guess, as a start. Once you recognize that, you got to stop, right? So you recognize it, stop, and then you say, okay, I need to change my entire existence. Change my existence. Real quick, I'm going to put these on mute if they are not already. Okay, that one's going through the speaker. So the writer has a fungus-covered two-toed sloth, which means that not even a three-toed sloth. You're not even that great. You're a two-toed sloth. So I want you to, you'll see the first note if you are on howtobangyourhead.blogspot.com. This is phase 2. We are already past phase 1. We're into phase 2. We are going to be talking about how to watch all of Hollywood, big Hollywood movies, like a noob. We need to stop that. People who sit there, they pay their money, popcorn, throw milk duds, or whatever they're doing. Man, Marvel Studios, Disney, they are Lucasfilm selling it to Disney. All the big names have these patterns, these paths. I didn't bring it. I didn't pull it up, and I should have. Anyway, Pixar has created a. What is that behind my head? What is the lamp? It's my number one lamp. I love lamp. Pixar has a little. And someone else wrote it. I don't think it was Pixar themselves. They wrote how Pixar makes movies. And they have the key elements of every Pixar movie. And there's formulas, and you need to learn to recognize those formulas, not be a noob anymore, not just appreciate or extrapolate nothing but the laugh and the up and down roller coaster ride. You need to get in there and learn and figure out the things they did wrong. Many of you, if not all of you, some of you, hopefully none of you, but anyway, probably one or two of you have watched the movie Infinity Wars. The very beginning of the movie starts with the very end of Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok, we're going to put that away, but we're going to start with Infinity Wars. What happens? A spaceship. Thanos' minions are destroying everyone. Loki dies. The guy who had the Bifrost Bridge sword key, I can't remember his name. He's from The Wire. Anyway, I love that guy. He dies. It's very tragic and brutal and horrible. Thor's like, oh no, my face hurts. Anyway, oh, horrible. But now, I appreciate what they were trying to do. I got in there, appreciated it. I was like, okay, I'm going to go with what they're trying to do here. And as I watched and realized and recognized what was happening, I said, this seems false somehow. And you've got to do that. You've got to get in there and you've got to understand what feels real and why it feels real and what feels false and why it feels false. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, right? Did that feel real? Not really, but it wasn't supposed to. It was a crazy adventure, just up and down everywhere, every which way but loose. But it was hilarious, and it kept you on your toes because it was so fast. Titanic, oh, it was so real because you got to know Jack and you got to know what's her face, and all the story and the intertwining because character development. It's building, and then you had the backstory with the old lady telling it. And, it's just so real. You could feel, you believed, you weren't pulled away, you weren't pulled away from the belief, but because of the way that they presented it to you in form and fashion, it was so believable. But Infinity Wars starts out, I'll come a little bit closer to the screen. How's this? You okay with this? Is this good? Starts out with the death of many of our friends. And I say our friends as people who are a fan of the Infinity War series, which kind of encompasses all the Avengers peoples and Spider-Man Phase 3 or whatever you're going to do with anyway. Spider-Man, the new improved Garfield Spider-Man, whatever they could get out of the contract, not X-Men, not anything else, Deadpool, anyway, all those other little guys. I think Power Girl is going to be coming up pretty soon here. No, wait, she's DC. I meant, Captain Marvel. That's what I meant. Captain Marvel is going to be coming up. I get those confused because of Shazam. Anyway, so at the end of Thor Ragnarok, Hel is fighting the Ragnarok beast. Hela, whatever. Thor doesn't need a hammer. Suddenly, he has a vision that Odin tells him the hammer was a conduit. Well, that's bullcrap because Mjolnir was itself a really cool weapon, and Marvel geeks know this. Thor was the god of lightning. He has all this extra power. He's super awesome. He defeats Hela. All of the bad guys, either Hela and him are interlocked in Asgard, and Asgard falls. But that's okay because they say Asgard is the people. And it's so awesome and so powerful and so wonderful. It's a great ending to a movie because redemption. And it was the funniest of all of the Thor movies. And it was the most heartfelt of all Thor movies because he comes to peace with his dad. He confronts his evil past. He befriends his brother. All these great things. All these, he and Thor he and Hulk get along, and it's just unique. It's really, really cute and really homey and really great. But then at the beginning of the next movie, they're all dead. And then Thor's like, I need a weapon. I can't do anything without a weapon. This is my friend, Tree. Anyway, funny lines. But the soul of Thor is taken away. The entirety of the last movie is taken away. And so I just damn that movie, that storyline, what they did to that character. It's horrible. And you need to learn how to recognize how to watch movies, not like a noob. You need to unleash your pineal gland, your frontal cortex. All right, part 2. Outline every story arc you see. If you would like to go to this link, again, we're at howtobangyourhead.blogspot.com. We're on phase 2. The writer is a fungus-covered two-toed sloth. Outline every story arc you see. And we're going to go there right now on my screen. This is the movie narratives. And this is from xkcd.com. And this is a really fun, nerdy website that I like. These charts show movie character interactions. The horizontal axis is time. The vertical grouping of the lines indicate which characters are together at any given time. So the first one we have is The Lord of the Rings. So we have Frodo, we have Gollum, we have Sauron, the big black line at the bottom. And as we scroll through it, we can see the entirety of the whole narrative playing out. And you can look at this at your leisure because I want to keep going through this. The next one we have is, of course, Star Wars, the original trilogy, which is 4, 5, and 6. Can you name them? A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. And so you have Luke, Leia, Yoda, etc., etc. Okay. On the bottom row, you have the original Jurassic Park. And then you have a little bit of humor, which is what ASKCD is really famous for, his humor. You have 12 Angry Men, which is straight lines. And then you have the last bottom right-hand corner. If you have not seen this movie, this is your homework. Go see Primer. Primer is an independent movie with about 2 actors. There's maybe 3 or 4 other people who appear on the screen at all, but it's about 2 actors who time travel, and it's called Primer. And looking at that bottom right-hand corner, you can see that he couldn't outline it because Primer does leave a lot to the imagination. So watch it the first time. It's kind of like watching Memento, another great movie you should watch. Outline every story arc you see. So when you are outlining story arcs, you've got to understand, and that narrative is not really a story arc per se. However, that outline is a really good thing to watch. Again, if you're just joining us, we are on howtobangyourhead.blogspot.com, and you can follow along with us. We are on phase 2, and we are on part 2. Outline every story arc you see. A brief recap. Phase 1 was how to bang your head. Phase 2, we start talking about how to become a writer, because the original intent of this was to how to bang your head. So now that we know that, we are moving on. So outlining story arcs. So Lord of the Rings is a really good one. And I like the fact that the Lord of the Rings is so well known as well as so made fun of. what do we know? Let's exclude The Hobbit for now, okay? Because Peter Jackson really threw the public a big loop with that. And Legolas is never in it. Sorry, guys. But we start off with basically one plot. This ring is bad. We have to kill it. But burn it. Destroy the ring. Destroy the ring. 3 words. It's the entirety of the entire plot. And then we split. The fellowship breaks. Then we split again. 2 hobbits leave. And then Gandalf leaves. So now we have 4. Where everybody going on, but then they all come back together. So really, it's now we do have the typical, the stereotypical hero's journey, where Frodo with Gandalf. We have that a lot in The Hobbit as well. With Frodo and Gandalf leaves and dies. No, fly, you fools! The movie shows Gandalf letting go, but that's not really what happened. But the father figure, the mentor is taken away, and that's the hero's journey. And you can Google all this yourself, but knowing what it is, you need to outline that. You need to know what pinch points and plot points and arcs. You need to kind of learn this, but most importantly, you need to know when the action starts. Now, common movie, that's what we're starting with. We're starting with movies and television shows. Okay, a sitcom. For instance, Seinfeld. Jerry is doing this. Elaine is helping him. Sometimes George and Elaine are 2 characters, and then Kramer, right? And then you have of course all sorts of antagonists out there, including the one main antagonist, Newman, who shows up in like 6 episodes as like a really big deal. But then you've got the situations they put themselves in. So you've got the main arc is usually Jerry. And then you've got the secondary arc, which is Kramer. Funny ones come to mind that Kramer has done. The Howard Cosell stage set that he drugged George in on. The Marlboro Man, the hot tub, the all sorts of subplots. And you'll find this on The Simpsons. You'll find this in most sitcom where you have 2 storylines. Family Guy, you'll have somebody doing something, and then Stewie's got a secondary plot, and then they all come together at the end. So you've got to reckon, but you've got to understand, I'm being pulled here, You've got to kind of chop it up and collect it as pieces and know where you are in the story. And so there's tons of information about this, but we have to understand that it is happening instead of just being pulled through it. In a movie, I like to do this on Netflix, the little red bar at the bottom, or on YouTube if I'm watching a movie, almost exactly in the middle, including credits, almost exactly in the middle, the entire thing changes. We go to Act 2. Act 1 was all set up. Act 2 is this huge thing. Like, we're having fun, we're learning about who the person is. Oh no, someone just died, or whatever the thing is. Oh no, we've been kidnapped. Oh no, the boat's been taken over by pirates, or oh no, whatever. So exactly halfway through, usually something happens. And I like to pause the movie, turn to my wife. See that right there? Halfway through. It's like an hour and 52 minutes long, and we're at like almost exactly 61 minutes or so. So right there, halfway. So movies, you've got to understand that there are things that they do to us to program us to think this way. If we don't have these things, oh, that movie sucked, man, blah, 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 blah. We don't know why it sucked, but we know it sucked. Outline every story arc you see. Story arc, I could add to that. I could put character arc, I could put character development, I could put pinch point. Outline the plots, basically. Not like a noob. Okay, part 3. Start following one director to the bitter end. There's a director named Uwe Boll, Uweboll. He created a series called Rampage, and this is not the Rock. What's his name? Dwayne Dwayne Johnson. This is not his reboot from the video game Rampage from the 80s, but this is the game all to itself, because this is one person playing a game against the world. And so we're not playing a video game in the arcade making a movie from that. We are a psychotic man who is going to go on a rampage and kill a bunch of people. So we have to understand why he's doing this. And so U-Bowl, who is himself, I believe, an anarchist, he creates 3 movies. The first one is pretty good. Second one, still pretty good. The third one hinges on a lot of what the first 2 happen, and then they throw in some like random dice shaking, like crazy stuff, like tigers in Manhattan. If you ever played role-playing games, you understand with like a random encounter. But this is a random encounter, like nukes were being used in Indonesia. Like, what's going on? But it has nothing to do, and it doesn't impact our story at all. I'm like, why did he even put that in there? So it just kind of made me mad. But he throws some stuff in the third movie, and the third movie has a lot of what you call wooden acting, where it just doesn't seem believable. You've seen wooden acting before. A lot of times directors will do another cut, do another take. Give me that another take. I didn't quite believe what you said the first time. I didn't understand that. I didn't get it. But this, I don't know, maybe he was pressed for time, but the actors were not believable. The first movie, he has a couple of like really well-known actors from like the 80s, like just pop up randomly, kind of like how Quentin Tarantino did with, what was her name? Jamie Brown? Foxy Brown? What was her name? Jackie Brown. Yes, Jackie Brown. And then the other guy who played, Bill Cherry, bail bondsman. Not sure, can't remember that. But anyway, so really randomly, like old dudes, and they pulled it off. It was pretty good. But anyway, the point is to find a director and get to know that director, get to understand who that director is as a director, and don't do Peter Jackson, man. Come on. He did like one indie film that like he directed, wrote, starred in, produced, executive produced. Took him like 8 years. And then he's like, oh, I'll go make the Lord of the Rings. Don't do that. Do like Wes Craven or somebody like that. Find a movie that you like. Find out who directed it. Go and watch who his other movies. I'm a big fan of really weird movies, so I've got a lot of really weird directors in my friends. In my mind, I've got lists of people who are my friends. They're not really my friends, but I like them, so they're my friends. And so you can really learn a lot about how to direct a story, what they're doing right that got you there in the first place, and then what you don't like. I didn't like that at all. Maybe you're a Michael Bay fan. Go back and watch some of his early stuff. You'd be surprised. Same thing goes with composers as well. Hans Zimmerman, he's a great composer, but, not always been the best composer. So go back and find out, Billy Corgan, another one. Find some of their weird stuff and see what you like and what you don't like. But music, not specifically, exactly, but yes, definitely for movies. Finding a director that you like and looking at some of their older and dumber stuff in sophomoric attempts at whatever will really get you in the mood to understand what you don't want to ever do again and maybe what you want to keep forever and try that every time as a story writer. Okay, become a critic of everything. So we are on number 4 here. Letter D, and it's a link, and I've got that link pulled up. So I'm going to play it, and you guys can watch along at your leisure. But I don't know, if I play it through here, will I get copyright dinged? So I don't want to do that, but I can play the audio. Anyway, become a critic of everything. This is from the movie Clerks 2, I think.
Amen.
Welcome to Movies. May I take your order?
Yeah, see. Give me one utterly delicious milkshake, skinny calf, and order of onion rings. Thanks.
One ring to rule them all.
One ring to find them.
Oh, Jesus. One ring to bring them all.
And in the darkness bind them.
Yes, suit. How many times?
Well, 3 for fellowship, 2 for towers, 4 for return.
5 for return.
All right, look. There's only one return, okay? And it ain't of the king, it's of the Jedi.
Well, Star Wars geek.
Oh, I'm the geek? Look at you two whipping out your preciouses.
You'll have to excuse him. He's not down with the trilogy.
Oh, what the fuck happened to this world? There's only one trilogy, you fucking morons.
You know what? Maybe we should start calling your friend Padme because he loves Anakin Skywalker so much, right? Danger, danger. My name is Anakin. My shitty acting is ruining Saga.
Yeah, you're crazy, Jar Jar.
Oh, I'm crazy? Those fucking Hobbit movies were boring as hell. All it was a bunch of people walking. 3 movies of people walking to a fucking volcano. Here's the first movie.
He's walking across the store.
And here's the second movie.
He goes back, walks across the store. Oh, there's something there on the floor. Watch out.
He is way off, loser.
You ready for the third movie?
He walks across the store, looks down, picks up the ring and throws it.
Fucking A.
Even the fucking trees walked in those movies.
You know what? I've had enough of you. Your simplistic analysis of the trilogy aside, The Lord of the Rings was a massive achievement that even the Academy recognized when they gave Peter Jackson the Best Directing Oscar, an award your little friend George Toy Boy Lucas has never and will never win. Bones.
Oh, sick burn.
Let me tell you something. If Peter Jackson really wanted to blow me away with those Rings movies, he would have ended the third one on the logical closure point, not the 25 endings that followed.
What's the logical closure point?
Yeah, friend. Enlighten us.
When fucking Frito wakes up from his little coma or whatever and the little hobbits are jumping up and down on his bed.
Not the rings, Randall. Say what you will about Jesus, but leave the rings out of this.
I'm going to kick your ass back to the Shire if you don't shut your fucking mouth.
That look was so gay, I thought Sam was going to tell the little hobbits to take a walk so he could saunter over to Frodo and suck his fucking cock. Now,
Okay, sorry. I forgot how lewd it gets. But you get the idea. Wow, that's really lewd. Sorry, Jesus. So yeah, become a critic of everything. Now, he's right. Randall has another exposition on watching it because it's just lewd and horrible. But at the same time, he has very valid points. And he's very critical. And he would know the character because in the first movie of Clerks, he runs the video rental store. Remember Blockbuster those days? He runs the video rental store next to where that Dante, he is the like assistant manager or like the number one. Anyway, he's the only employee that shows up that day. So it's a horrible movie, but Kevin Smith is a genius. I think there's a lot about Kevin Smith I appreciate, but he's just so lewd. It's just awful. And I try not to be that bad when it comes to profanity and ideas and adult humor, adult themes. I mean, I guess it's got its place, but not for me. So become critical of everything. So when I was very happy in the end. And when I watched the beginning of Infinity Wars, which I didn't go to the movie to see, I streamed it from a Colombian website. They'd filmed it in Russia, and they were being played on a Portuguese server. So all was well within my legal limits, but at the same time, it was camera. It was awful quality, but I got the gist of it. So I watched it there, and it was really just kind of like, oh, wow, okay. And I went through the whole movie, kept coming back. What? Why does that bug me so much? Why is Thor, even though Peter Dinklage's scene as a giant was epic, I was. There's a movie called Lobster. If you haven't seen this movie, it's worth a watch. It has some very, very disturbing themes. I love dystopian movies. I cannot get enough of dystopian movies, which is a dark future. So I appreciate, the ideas of mankind's disillusion into disarray and to just, a whole terrible future. I like those types of movies, and Lobster really got me down, man. And it just stuck in my craw, and I couldn't get it out. And I was like, well, that was just horrible. And I think the biggest criticism I came away with that was there was one scene where when you don't find a mate, you become an animal and you pick what animal you're supposed to be, and he picks a lobster. His brother had picked a dog, and so his brother was with him the whole time. And he lied and found a mate, but the mate was, I don't know, a psychopath, sociopath. She was one of the two. I think she was sociopathic. Everywhere, and I was like, it ruined my heart. I was like, oh my God. And so they didn't need to do that. And I think Colin in Bruges had a better, and I don't know. It's just, you don't have to do that, man. You don't have to be that, but you don't have to go over the top, Or going over the top is good if you're doing like Clockwork Orange, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, or Natural Born Killers, or a movie that needs to explore over the top, because that's what it's about. But at the same time, you can tastefully do things. If they're going to have sex, you can show the gently wafting curtains or whatever. It's just, there's tastefulness that you can do as a storyteller. So becoming a critic of everything, learning what you like and what you don't like. Okay, so the last part on here on howtobangyourhead.com. Howtobangyourhead.blogspot.com. BLOGSPOT. Howtobangyourhead.blogspot.com. The writer is a fungus-covered two-toed sloth. Begin to identify patterns in the chaos. There's a scene in the movie Contact where Jodie Foster is looking into the dryer, watching it go round and round. And some guy comes in, what are you doing? She's like, I'm looking for patterns in the chaos. So he pulls her aside and has him go look at some transmissions from SETI. It's ridiculous, but there's a chaotic, just a malfeasance that is prevalent in today's movie making. You look at the company Dark Horse, and Dark Horse used to make some really cool movies. No, not Dark Horse. Lionsgate. Why did I think Dark Horse? I was thinking of comic books. Yeah, I was thinking of comics. Okay, so Lionsgate Entertainment used to make some really cool movies, and they made one movie way back in the day, and they hired Cary Elwes, and they called it Saw, and it was a murder mystery. Ooh, exciting. It's a bottleneck. They didn't have a lot of money. The bottleneck episode movie, where bottle episodes are 12 Angry Men, where you just put everybody in a room and have them act. And there's not a lot of special effects or chase scenes, not a lot of those. It's not an action movie. Bottle episode is a TV trope, I would say, and they do it when they have a financial crisis, or they do it when they don't have all the actors that are that are handy. The TV show The Mentalist did it a lot because they didn't always have all their actors. So whatever, you get all your actors and everything's fine. Like How I Met Your Mother, Neil Patrick Harris wasn't in every. I don't think he was in every episode. So every now and again they'd have a bottle episode. So yeah, you really got to. You really do have to find patterns in the chaos. You really have to see, why did this happen? What was the director's? Why did the director do that? and they're not going to tell you. I like to see the how it's made stuff. Usually it's like a weird YouTube thing that 12 minutes of uncut footage from this, and this is how they did this. So and I like to see. Oh, that's how they did that. That's great. Not really a patterning thing, but if you start learning about the industry of storytelling, specifically movies and television, and screen mentality, then you can do it. One of the most interesting parts and I'll close with this on this second phase here. One of the most interesting parts of movie making is the busy New York scene, where it's supposed to be busy, but suddenly it's deserted. Think Constantine. There's a couple of other movies where even Times Square is just emptied out. A lot of times they do it early in the morning. They'll block it off. A lot of times they do it super late at night, and they false illuminate it. Sometimes it's a set that's not at Times Square at all, or wherever they want it to be. But yeah, they what was it? The End of Days, I think, with Schwarzenegger. They had a Times Square scene. Anyway, you can look those up on your own. But finding out how they do things, finding patterns, finding why things happen in television and story and movies for storytelling effect. You need to find out those, because if we know their secrets, then we can start duplicating. Next, in 2 minutes, I'm going to take a quick break. I will be back. You're going to stare at an empty screen. Okay, we've got some Chinese acrobatics next door. We are at the Morton Center here in West Lafayette, Indiana, and we are having a good old time. And I don't speak much Mandarin Chinese, but I tried my best. Okay, we are at howtobangyourhead.blogspot.com. Part 3, Phase 3, Making the Plunge. And this is the writer is a writhing, screaming red fox. Now, I own a red fox. My wife is actually the owner of the red fox. And they can create many, many vocal sounds that I was not aware that they could. And so screaming red fox is a very apt description. Now, I'm going to play again the first video, and you'll hear the audio. But because of copyright law, I probably shouldn't show it. So we're going to go ahead and play that. while we wait. And this is pretty funny. I would advise watching this again in your spare time because I get a kick out of this every time. The visual is it's a panda. I think it's two pandas talking to each other in some sort of a dojo, and it's just really cheap animation and cheap computer graphics, but at the same time hilarious because the title. Without further ado,
I'm going to write a novel.
For the love of all that is holy, why?
Because I'm going to be a writer.
I've never seen you show even the slightest interest in books.
It's going to be a bestseller.
Now that I think about it, I've never even seen you read a book.
That's because all fiction novels suck.
What was the last book you read?
I saw all of the Harry Potter movies.
That's not what I meant. So what's your book about?
It's science fiction crossed with chick lit crossed with literary fiction.
Do you even know what any of those things mean?
I quit my job this morning.
Oh no. Please tell me you didn't.
I just bought a new laptop, a MacBook Air.
Have you ever attempted to write a novel-length manuscript?
I've already written the first page. It's really awesome. I plan to finish by the end of the week. Do you think I can get it published in time for the Christmas shopping season? I'm going to need the money soon.
It's December 4th. Probably not.
I suppose that's okay. I'll just max out my credit cards.
You do realize it takes years of honing your craft before you'll be ready to produce a publishable book. And that's assuming you've spent the last 20 years reading hundreds of novels.
I've been living my life, not wasting my time reading. What do you think I am? Some kind of dork?
Wow. So how do you plan to get your book published?
I'm going to take a copy to Random House.
I think my heart just stopped.
They've never seen anything like this. I know they'll want to talk to me right away.
That's not really how it works. To get a deal with one of the major publishers, you really need a literary agent.
Well, that will be easy enough. I'll just call a few and let them fight over me.
I wish I could kill you and get away with it. The average literary agent gets about 10,000 queries a year. In a good year, they might take on 2 new clients.
In fact, I think I will call them today.
Yeah. They don't take queries by phone. And your book is not even finished.
But my idea is a guaranteed bestseller.
I'm sure it is.
I better warn them not to steal my idea because it's copyrighted. Most agents are just losers who couldn't get book deals.
If you take the astonishingly stupid step of calling an agent, I wouldn't lead with that.
You're right. I'm really busy today anyway. I'll just send a mass email to a bunch of agents.
Get ready to be disappointed.
I'm thinking I'll only hire an agent who can promise me a 6-figure deal.
You may actually inspire all the agents in New York.
They will start my book tour.
I'm not sure I'm making myself clear. Let me try another approach. I assume you've used a steak knife, right?
Of course.
Do you think you're qualified to perform neurosurgery?
Haha. That's funny. I might base a character on you.
So do you think that being able to read and write your native language makes you qualified to write a novel?
How many editors will Random House assign to my novel?
Minus 13.
Because it's going to need a lot of editing. I'm not the best speller.
My throat is starting to close up. The publishing industry really sort of expects you to have the whole spelling and grammar thing down.
But I'm the talent. That's what editors are for.
That's why you should expect to spend a few months on revisions before you ever let it see the light of day.
So good.
It might be wise to crack open a book about the craft of writing. Stephen King wrote a good one called On Writing.
That sounds so boring and totally unnecessary.
Fine. Are you ready to spend hundreds of hours banging away at your laptop?
Do you think they will let me direct the movie version of my book?
Are you ready to discover gigantic plot holes that are impossible to fill?
I'm a storyteller. It will all work out.
Are you ready to discover your characters are as one-dimensional as the ones in a pornographic movie?
I'm a student of the human condition. My characters will have depth.
Novels than ever.
Great. Less competition for me.
Are you ready to find yourself on page 50 and then think of an even better idea for a novel?
Hey, that's a good idea. I'm going to write several books at a time. I can maximize my earnings that way. Do you want to be a ghostwriter for me? I will cut you in for 10%.
I have a gun in my car. I'm going to go get it now.
That is So You Want to Write a Novel. And it's so telling. I've probably seen this, I don't know, 30 times, which is a lot for me, because I get the point very quickly. Yeah, man. The first point we have the writer as a writhing, screaming red fox, because red foxes don't understand what they're doing. They don't know anything about it. The first step, really, to writing immediately. You cannot expect your what the guy expects, man. You can't expect anything like that at all. And look at me, I've made 20 books. They call it the breakthrough, right? I haven't had my breakthrough yet. I haven't had my breakout novel. I haven't had my here it comes, bang, slam, diddy, boo, boo. I just made all that up. But at the same time, make up what you want, man. Write what you want. Write what you feel. Write what you know. But don't have any expectations on becoming rich and famous immediately or at all. Maybe my great-grandchildren will be rich and famous, maybe. You look at Christopher Tolkien. Claim to fame was that he worked on the Silmarillion for his dad. But, he's got money. What is it? Saul Zaentz has all the money now. From the Peter Jackson movies of The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. But if you want to be famous, this is not how to do it. Learn how to basketball dribble and dunk like Spud Webb or something. But this isn't how to do it. You might be accidentally famous, and that'll be okay. Take me for example. I have tried to become famous doing different things. And my number one claim to fame is how to mop a floor. If you Google that, go to videos. I'm usually the first, second, or third, fourth, fifth hit on there, how to mop a floor. Now, I didn't seek out that fame. That fame was accidental. But maybe I should have gone with that. Maybe my next book should be how to mop a floor. The handbook, the compendium to the uber famous video. I'm not even joking. Maybe I should. So, number 2, give up on having your friends understand what you're doing. Give up on what your family thinks of you. I've experienced this many times in my life. I'm a weird one. I'm an artist, and at the same time, I have crazy theological views of the Bible. I believe the whole Bible to be true, so that makes me adherent to things that people only think Jews should be adherent to. The Bible, Hebrew cosmology, teaches in a flat and closed system, so I believe the earth is flat, literally. And so I already have excluded myself from most of humanity right there. Now, to be a fiction writer, even more so. Deadly to your social stamina. There's an episode of Black Books. No, not Black Books. Black Mirror. I love Black Books. I don't want to talk about Canada. I love Black Books, but Black Mirror, there's an episode, I think one of the latest episodes, where you can swipe up or swipe down on a person, hold it to their face and swipe up and swipe down and give them popularity / credit / social standing. Swipe down. China's doing it already. And I don't want that. I'd rather be a 0, because I can't go down any farther. So have your family, the group of bros, and the one bro gets married, and they're like, dude, you've changed, man. You don't want to go out for brewskis anymore, man. You don't want to go shoot pool. I'm married, and eventually they all get married, and then the one guy's left. None of you guys want to do the things, because we're growing up, we're changing, we're evolving. So you'll begin to cultivate different people from different places that you really didn't expect. So your life will change drastically. And you might like it, you might not. It's okay. But the good news is that you understand. You took Polly's course on how to bang your head, so you'll know that it will change. So that's good. Part 3, understand your chemical process. How are you post-coitus, minus coffee, after a car wreck versus the opposite? So we as flesh and blood humans, we know that we can do certain things at certain times. There's ups and downs to us. We know what our buttons are when we have our buttons pushed. We know all the things that happen. And so you need to understand and recognize who you are. If you don't know that already, I encourage you to go take the MBTI 16 personalities. I think it's 16personalities.com. Take that test, understand your personality type. And it's a basic generic type of test. It's not all there. It's not all exact. But go take that test and you'll understand that, who you are more and more and more and more. So that when you come back, how to turn off the interwebs. I've got a link there by J.P. Sears. It's funny, but I would really rather have you watch it instead of me play it again, because the way that J.P. Sears works to turn off social media specifically, the internet connectivity that you don't need, which is most of it. I mean, if you have google.com or DuckDuckGo, or God forbid you use Bing. But if you have a good search engine, I'm pretty sure you're going to get everything you need for backstories and for researching and for finding things out. But specifically knowing how to turn it off, knowing how, having the internal fortitude to turn off the internet. Go buy a clunky, and I didn't bring it, I should have, but go buy a clunky old computer that has no internet connectivity and weighs 40 pounds or whatever, but has a good keyboard. I was going to show you that specifically about my keyboard. Here's my website, carsongenerals.com. That's my game. I have a little keyboard that Bluetooth connects to my phone. And my phone, I can just flip it open, got a little thing, flip it open, and I can just Bluetooth, and I can sit there and ta-da! That's pretty cool. $20, I think. Newegg.com, Newegg.com. And then my phone is a Samsung, what is it? Something. Hold on. I don't even know. It's got the stylus thing. Hello? Samsung Galaxy Note. Oh, that's the wind from the door downstairs. So I've got a little stylus here. When I run a right longhand, I can. Pops it open. So Galaxy Note 8. I had a Galaxy Note 4 before. So I like these because I can write longhand or I can type, which we'll get to in a little while. But both are important. Both free up a different part of your brain so that you can create differently. But yeah, learning how to turn it off, man. Going airplane mode or whatever. Because when you're in a zone, you're like, oh, shoot, I forgot what Shelly told me that recipe for tuna casserole was. Boom. Forget about it. Just get a pen and paper, write down tuna casserole, Shelly, and then go back to your writing. Knowing how to turn it off. Okay, next part is kiss your free time goodbye. Just kidding. You wish. I'm not kidding. No, really, I'm joking. No, I'm not joking. I'm not joking. That's the actual answer. Free time. I actually have a philosophy myself, and I didn't write this down because I didn't plan on saying it, but I will. I actually have a philosophy as a biblical adherent person. I do 6 hours of each: worship, work, rest, and play in that order. I try to read my Bible and pray and sing and whatever for 6 hours a day. It's pretty difficult. Really, 4 is about my average. But I do get in there, I play a lot, play more than I should. I've got dirty dishes in the sink right now. But I do work a little bit, and I do sleep a little bit. Indonesia. Yeah, anyway, weird. All right, the last part, knowing when to turn off the interwebs, having your friends unfriend you, giving up on being famous, as a screaming and writhing red fox because you're just an idiot, you don't know what you're doing, understanding what you are good at. If you want to write horror, but you find yourself writing really good how-to guides, start thinking about changing. So my theology books don't really sell very well. But my janitorial books, I should write a book on how to mop the floor. Who knows? So that is part number 3, phase 3. So here we are, finding ourselves on part 4. We're going to dive right into it. The writer as a urine-stained turkey vulture. Now, that sounds really disgusting. But turkey vultures are very specific animals. They can glide the highest in the sky. They can smell scents for over 4 miles. As I understand, people say 6 miles. They pee on their legs to fight off the bacteria. They spread their wings so the bacteria would die in their wings. They vomit to make predators not want to attack them. When they take off, they poop. They're bald, so they can dig their head right on in there. They're the grossest animal, and no other animal understands them. No animal, but they have no natural predators. They're scavengers, and I guess they would be the apex predator if they were, but they're apex scavenger because lions don't want to eat those things. Lynxes and cougars don't want to eat those things because they're nasty. They look nasty, they smell nasty, and so yeah, that's what it is. You're going to be misunderstood. But you're going to be starting to be really good at what you're doing. Vessel that has never existed before on this whole earth. I'm polyheart. God created me to be the best polyheart possible, so I'm going to be the best polyheart. So I really write well as a Jack London writer. I'm an adventure, go, action-oriented, plot-driven, a lot of scenery, interaction, a lot of antagonists trying to plot against me, as opposed to one main antagonist. It's difficult to really understand what writing is all about, which leads us to our next clip. What writing is all about, and that is a picture of snapshots by jasonlove.com. Maybe I can actually put this up because I was logged into Facebook while I was doing this. So let's look at this real quick. Okay. Oh, hold on. That's a horrible way. I'm a technological guru, right? The writer, someone who spends a lifetime in solitude for the sake of communication. There you go. That is what writing is all about. Whether you're a journalist, a how-to guides writer, a novelist, just a knucklehead with a backpack, that's what writing is all about. You really need to understand that you're going to be alone a lot of the time, and you're going to not wonder why all your friends don't call you back. You call them up at 2 a.m. Hey, what are you doing? And they say, well, I was just sitting around waiting on your phone call. They're lying. So it's difficult to be a writer. Okay, so understand the 6 W's of being a writer. The key element to journalism is who, what, when, where, why, how. Who, what, when, where, why, how. Some people don't include a couple of those, the 4 W's, the 5 W's, but it's 6. Who, what, when, where, why, how. Who? Polyheart. What? A workshop on how to write. When? 8:02 Eastern Time. Where? On the internet, in this room. Why? To make you a better writer. How? By explaining it to you. By showing you these websites. Okay. Read books with a red pen. Reading books with the red pen. Remark on what you would change. Everyone else is wrong. Everyone else is wrong. Okay? In the video, Clerks 2, I think I paused it before he actually says it, but I think the point is brought up, and if not by this video, then by many other people. Gandalf could convince the Eagles to fly south, hook up, and then north to Mount Doom, avoiding the Nazgul and the ring wraiths, which were the men with the 9 rings, getting to Mount Doom with Frodo, and maybe having 4 or 5, up, and who has the real ring, we don't know. But if Frodo was unconscious as the ring bearer specifically, then Sauron would not be looking for him, and they could do it. You could go through the Greylands or the Dunlands, I think, and go from the east as well. Yeah, that's the solution, man. You don't have to walk the whole darn distance. That's my red pen edit for pretty much the Fellowship of the Ring, where the Fellowship starts. So you go Bilbo's 111th birthday through the journey through there, and then you're done. And then that's it. Elrond's like, that's a good plan. Too bad, Isildur didn't think about that or whatever. Yeah, but then the whole Third Age wouldn't have ever happened. Anyway, so yeah, that's my edit. It's a huge edit, right? I've ruined the whole book for you, but it's my red pen edit, and you can't tell me that I'm wrong because it's my edit. So that's what you need to do. Everyone else is wrong. You just need to say, oh, you know what? Anne of Green Gables, I'm going to fix this book because this is silly. Or Old Yeller. I'm fixing this story here. Whatever book you wanted to do. Curious. Because you own this piece of paper, this 322 pieces of paper, whatever this is. Did I put that in there? I think I'll bring it up later, but there's a little story I wanted to tell. But you own these pieces of paper, so you need to go ahead and fix it the way you want to fix it, because nobody else is going to tell you that you're wrong. I mean, if you found a better way, you know what? In Jaws, maybe they did need a bigger boat. Think about that. Think about that, Spielberg. No, your characters did. But yeah, man, I'll tell you what. Reading a book with a red pen has got to be the best feeling. I'm going to go ahead and bring it up. My wife and I used to do the whole Cracker Barrel rent an audiobook. I don't think Cracker Barrel does it anymore, much to my dismay, because one of the best trips of our life was listening to Michael Crichton's The Pirate Latitudes. Oh, the guy that read that was just so sultry. And I don't use that word lightly. It was good. But so, I'm a fan of Crichton. I'm a huge fan of Crichton. I loved Sphere when it came out. I loved The Great Train Robbery. I mean, all his old stuff, even all his new stuff. Well, he's passed away. See, that's the thing. He published this posthumously, which means after you're dead, someone else finishes it for you, like the Silmarillion, Chris Tolkien. Anyway, this dude, I don't know his name, but he made me mad. Crichton wrote this book called Micro, about a bunch of people who shrink down and they're able to do science, better science and smarter science and whatever. And it wasn't a humanitarian movie like that Matt Damon movie with that one Vietnamese actress. You tell me now. You tell me now. You go down. I hated the Vietnamese accent. Vietnamese English accent. I just can't stand it. Anyway, so like a third of the way, a quarter of the way into the book, like these 8 people or whatever are shrunk down, and the bad guy is like, I'm gonna get you guys, and like, no, even though we're as big as grasshoppers, we're gonna find a way to defeat you, big man. Anyway, so like one guy gets like impregnated by like a wasp eggs and like explodes, and it doesn't matter what happens to the peripheral characters, right? They're minor characters. They can go and die if the writer wants them to. But what happens is is we had this loser girl and this loser guy, this prick. They were both kind of pricks, edgy and alone and just a jerk. And then you had like the main character. You know, he was like, he knew everything. He was really smart and good looking and handsome, and you were rooting for him. And then he dies. And then all that's left of these two nerd idiot people that you didn't like, you were forced not to like at the very beginning. And they are the ones who carry through the book. And it really just pisses you off. Oh my gosh. Oh, we were angry the whole rest of the book. Why? It's like watching Indiana Jones's, what are they called? Just helpers, like the guys with the backpacks. So like watching them find it after Indy dies from like some dumb thing. Just really made you mad. Yeah, don't ever have opinions. Write what is. You are writing it. It is. Your characters can have opinions, but you are writing it. You are the storyteller. You're God in this very small instance, lowercase g. So when you're writing, you have to understand. And again, if you're just now joining us, howtobangyourhead.blogspot.com. We're on phase 4, understanding your peers. And this is the idea that you are a urine-stained turkey vulture at this point in your evolutionary journey to become a writer. Don't ever have opinions because you're writing it. You are the storyteller. You are the omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent creator of this little infinite idea that becomes a finite story. And if you have opinions, I think what happened is this. The reader just doesn't want to trust you anymore, man. The reader gets lost and says, well, that was fun, but I'm done. So don't ever have opinions. Identify chuffa early on. I tried to pull up this link, but it didn't work at all. Let's see if I can get it. NSFW language. Okay, so you can go to this link yourself. I'm going to describe what happens to you if you don't want to go to that link at all. What happens is there's 2 video clips there. The first clip is what I'm going to focus on. He's telling the story of directing Bruce Willis. And I think it's for Die Hard 5. And he's saying, Bruce, I want you to do this, I want you to do this, I want you to do this, and it's just not working. And so he goes over to Bruce. He's like, hey, I want you to do this scene one more time. Bruce is like, no, I'm not doing this scene. Give me the script. And so he's looking through the script. He says the word chuffa. Rips out the page, throws it away to the wind. And Kevin Smith is like, oh, what are you doing? It says it's chuffa. It's not needed. It's not needed. You don't need it to advance the plot. And I think he uses the example, and I can't be sure, but I think this is what happens. 2 guys walk into a bar. They have a gunfight. 1 guy dies. Or, here's including chuffa. 2 guys walk into a bar. There's a Pyrenees dog there. They both have a conversation about the dog. Then they have a fight. 1 guy dies. Now, that's chuffa because it didn't need to be there. However, if you're using chuffa as a MacGuffin, as not a MacGuffin, but Jules and what's his name in Pulp Fiction? Jules. Anyway, John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson are driving to the event to go shoot Rad in the face after they eat a bite of his Big Kahuna burger. I don't know. That's a tasty burger. But they're talking about burgers, and so it comes back. So it is related, but you want to establish rapport with these guys. So they're talking about quarter pounder because in France you don't have or Amsterdam you don't have the imperial system, you have the metric system. So what's it called? It's called a royale with cheese. And so this entire conversation about a royale with cheese and about what you call a quarter pounder in Amsterdam. It doesn't seem to be related, but it kind of is because you're establishing rapport because these guys are pretty much the heart of the movie because they're trying to return Marcellus Wallace's soul. I think whatever that golden thing is that's glowing, but I think it's a soul to Marcellus Wallace, and then you have other stories intertwined with it. But good point. You're using chuffa as a plot device, but if it's not needed, don't bring it up. No, your screen didn't freeze. I froze. What's the metaphor? Art imitates life. Okay, but you didn't know that. Played a joke on you. Is that irony or a metaphor? Yeah, understand what metaphors are. Always use them. And then if it's a gray metaphor like what I just did, you can interpret it as your own interpretation. See what he was doing there by not moving was that he was playing us for the fool and breaking the fourth wall of the film. Whatever, dude. Let's move on. How to bang your head.blogspot.com. We are now into a bit of a meatier area called becoming a writer. How to avoid frustration through the process of story creation. The writer as a rabid oscillating weasel. So we banged our head. It'll help drive you crazy. We have sat and understood movies. We have become a sloth. Then we kind of like we're just this crazy fox. We're running around not knowing what we're doing, but we're learning. And now we're a rabid oscillating weasel, which is a joke and a shout out to my two good buddies. And this will be mentioned in part 4. I used to go to Steak and Shake with John and JB all the time, and we would sit and just talk. And what's happening? I don't know what happened. I closed out a bunch of tabs. I didn't know why. What? Sorry. Huh. Okay, that's phase 4. Sorry, I don't know, I hit it with my palm or something. Phase 5. Yeah. Okay, I won't touch it again. So we would go to Steak and Shake and really just have a great time. It was really an entertaining and inviting time in our lives. We would flirt with waitresses. We would write. We would toss ideas back and forth. We ended up moving in together. It was a very strange summer. We lived on Lutz Avenue. We did a summer share for a Purdue student who had to return home, and so we took her apartment for 3 months or 2.5 months, and then she came back. Anyway, it was fun. I worked a lot. JB worked a lot, and I think John played a lot of MMOs or something. Anyway, he became known as the Rabid Oscillating Weasel. So, which we kind of think that you kind of know what you're doing, you know what you want to do, you have an idea of how to get there, but you're churning back and forth, and it makes you crazy. You still have a lot of energy as a weasel, but you're still kind of going a little bit nuts. All right, so find a quiet place you can exhume is our first point here. When I first started writing, and I think I actually wrote a story called The Start of It All, and it was in Russia, and I sat in a little, I can still remember this place today. It was an old orphanage. It was a tiny little, like a window well, but it was very wide, like, I don't know, 4 feet deep, and then there was a window, and I started working on poetry as well as my first science fiction novel, which was a long story there, but it's no longer being worked on. And so that was good. Hold on one second. I've got a Facebook notification by somebody. Can they hear me? Let's hope so. Closing tab so I can make this computer optimized. Okay, something. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, they told me to turn my volume up a little bit. I'm like, well, I'm doing the best I can, man. Doing the best I can. I was muted. Okay. That's all I got. So I'm doing this new thing with Facebook called Live Cam, and it's not standard. So it's kind of a test thing, but tab still works, I think. Let's check it out. Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. I do apologize. We'll get back to the actual show in just a second. But now I have to, because I didn't bring my my backup DJ. Kind of looks like I'm a DJ up here with my speakers and my 2 laptops. I got 2 laptops and a microphone. YouTube.com. Forever while it loads. Silver bells, it's Christmas time in the city. Boom, boom, boom. Ring-a-ding, hear them ring. Soon it will be Christmas Day. Yeah, it's working. Okay. Since that time, 1994, I've written 20 books that I've published through a publisher, and 3 or 4 others that I'd made by chapbook. I'll show you what a chapbook is. So this is called Indigo Dark Burn. It's just on 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper stapled together. And it is a book that I wrote about a demon who attacks somebody. And I haven't felt led to put it out to the world yet, but I wrote this 18 years ago, 2000. My first book of poetry, Stupid Mind Tricks. Here's the back. Funny, huh? First book of poetry that I published, really. Short story. Sorry, a novelette, I think. Novelette. This is my magazine that I write. Microzine. It's a collection of short stories. Another novelette. And there's my novel. Big and juicy. Look at that. So dense and wonderful. By the gates of the Garden of Eden. That's a former visage of me. Mitch Hedberg is famous for saying, "You want to see a picture of me when I was younger?" Because, of course, you can't see a picture of you when you were older. Right? Whether it's morning, noon, or night, you really have to set up a good time. Some people get up really early. Some people stay up really late. I like to get up early and write my dreams. Oh, man, those dreams can turn into some weird stories. But at the same time, I like to stay up late at night. So I don't really have a set time right now. I guess if I was pressed to find a set time, it would have to be early in the morning. Like, just get into it. Just go, man. Just go. Yeah, I did a lot. So part 2, Drew in his art room. Set up the time of day. You can get it. So story of Drew is that he would, in the mid-afternoon, right after like lunch and then a little bit of rest, and then he would get into the zone. And when I was a curator at his art museum, or at his studio, really, rather, he had a room about the size of this room. And he would just turn on the music really loud and just sit there and kind of like, just do this for a while, look at his canvas, do this some more, look at his colors, do this. And then suddenly I don't know if you've seen the movie Pollock with Ed Harris. What is violence? What is violence? That's violence. Ed Harris. Great actor in The Abyss. Beautiful movie. He would just like explode on the canvas. Like it would be nothing for hours and hours and hours, but he'd be in the zone. So I couldn't bug him. He couldn't take any phone calls. And then suddenly he'd be all over the place and just explode. And that's kind of like that one scene where his wife is waiting on this huge mural, and then she wakes up and he's on the pot, and the blue, I think it was Blue Poles, was done in one night. Great movie, Pollock, and Drew reminded me a lot of Jackson Pollock. Kind of like Rothko. Anyway, find the right music if you would like to. There's a sample of some music that I like. I will actually put it on repeat and just kind of go off into the zone, and it becomes the noise I can ignore. Other people, Ernst Cline, who wrote Ready Player One and Armada. In the book Armada, the main character, Zach, has a playlist that he plays games to, and he can't really do anything without the driving bass of we will rock you, or whatever song that is on that list. And it says that the list is actually in the book at the very back. I just finished reading Armada the other day. Not as good as Ready Player One, not by a long shot. If Ready Player One was a 10, then Armada was a 7, because I'm like, I read all this when Orson Scott Card wrote it in Ender's Game. Even though he mentions Ender's Game in the book 4 to 6 times, I was reading Ender's Game again. I'm like, well, at least Peter and Valentine aren't there to ruin things, But God, this is horrible. Anyway, Ernst Cline's second novel is a dud. Sorry. That's. I feel like an apoplectic, neurotic weirdo for. Thanks, Darlene McLean. She sent me an attachment. I'm just glad my phone didn't ring. I've got an annoying ringtone. You want to hear it? I bet you do. Too bad. If you want to know my ringtone, it is Knife Party, Micro Penis, the very middle bridge breakdown. Okay. So yeah, alternate between keyboard and longhand. Alternate between poetry and prose. You'll find that as you continue to be a writer, it's 7:30. Is it 7:30? It's 8:30. Sorry, and I'm supposed to be done at 9. So I really have to get through this stuff. We're on phase 5 of 7. So this next 20 minutes is going to be banging because we've got to be out of here. So I've got 10 minutes to get ready to get out of here. Got to be out of here at 9. So this doesn't go till 9, but I have to be out of here at 9. I think that's how it works. Okay. So you have to alternate between a keyboard and a longhand. Just like I have my stylus on my little Samsung Galaxy Note 8. I can journal that way. I can also journal. I like a big fat rolly ball, and I like big porous from those big journals, those big black art journals. I'd love to just draw random things, get it out of my system, and then write right after that. Because you'll find that the axioms in your brain are connecting, and you didn't know how they connected that storyline, but you're going to find out that, oh, wow, that really does make sense. It makes a lot of sense. So this is 102,000 words, which is a beast of a book. Or is it 120? No, I think it's 102. Anyway, every morning before I would go to work, they had the cabinet room, which is just a room full of cabinets. And I worked with children at a camp as a teacher. And we would go in there, and we would have to be there by 8. And I would get there at 7. And I would write every day from 7 till 7:50. 7:45, depending on when people came in and out. I would just sit there and write and bang, 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 bang. And then when I got home, I'd usually be so tired. But then on Saturdays and Sundays, I would research and write some more. But you just have to create. You have to finish strong. Keep on working even when I hated it. I gave up on that book. I quit loving it. They were friends to me, so I wanted to tell them what happened to themselves. But I really just could not stand the book anymore. And that's why I haven't touched it since the last edit. And that's why I don't want to make number 2, because it's just, So I find short stories more enjoyable at this time. There may be a time in my life where I have more patience, less ADD to write a longer, maybe the second novel of this continuation. But for now, dude, kill me first, man. I just couldn't do it. But I finished. And then I edited again, finished again. And I didn't feel right too, so I finished again. But I finished. So, and then I put it on the shelves. And if you can't do that, if it just sits there in your drawer like Carrie did with Stephen King for 17 years, and then you finish, that's okay too. If you have to finish later, that's fine. But as long as you finish, you have to finish. And finish strong. Cultivate quality beta readers. What is a beta reader? Well, you're your own alpha reader. Like when software gets released, the alpha phase, nobody sees the alpha phase. I was part of an Oracle alpha software group. It was the worst. It was so slow and there were so many bugs. It was just, but they had to test it when I worked for Dish Network as a technician. It was horrible, and I just hated it. I hated working with an alpha group. So I'm kind to my beta readers, and I give them like Carla Edwards. Hey, Carla. She's one of my best beta readers. I will give her something and say, hey, what do you think about this? And Tanya Kincaid and Amy Lynn, also good beta readers. My wife is my number 1 beta reader. She's, of course, my wife. She's going to read everything I write anyway, except for my poetry. She doesn't really like that, but I digress. So I gave Tanya, let me tell you this story about a short story I wrote called Blood of the Pecos. And it's about a group of succubus vampires that live in a cave outside of Odessa, Texas, and near Pecos, Texas. And I had several things in there that were very area specific. Now, I know that area because my mother is buried in Grand Falls, which is outside of Monahans, which is outside of Odessa, Midland area. And so she lives out there, and I said, well, what do you think of this? And specifically trying to get to the grit of the who, what, when, where, why, how of the Odessa desert area. What would happen around here, except for like the whole supernatural succubus vampire thing. Everything else felt real. Even the funny description of where I decided to define Texas, that part of the desert of Texas, as where the regular guy quit his job and the drunk man took over when he wrote the counties. Which it's kind of funny if you look at that map out there where the counties are all like laid out in grids, and then suddenly she thought that was funny too, and she had never really thought of it that way, but it made perfect sense. So when that beta reader, when Tanya looked at that stuff and was pleased with what she saw, I knew that my choice for a beta reader was fulfilled. Now she's also allowed to tell me, this sucks. You need to change this. So that's fine. If your character's not alive, something is wrong. Okay, there's a GIF page from Jiffy.com about fangirl. Fangirl of your own stuff is okay. It's like if you ever met Ozzy Osbourne or any rock star, that you've always wanted to meet. And they're like, oh my gosh, I totally loved it when you did this or whatever. Like, I would never say that to Ozzy because I don't like anything he's ever done. But it's just, that's the first thing that popped in my head. I guess I was like that when I met Jars of Clay. I met Jars of Clay at, what was that? Alive 2007? No, that's Daft Punk. Anyway, where was I? Anyway, I met Jars of Clay. I was all giddy and nervous, but I had my share of famous musicians at a young age because one of my youth sponsors in my youth group was Rich Mullins, who wrote "Our God Is an Awesome God" and several 20, 30 other famous hits. So it kind of got old quick. So I'm not really perturbed or interested in meeting famous people anymore. But fangirling over your own stuff should be like fangirling over a famous person. You really should be excited. You should want to connect again with. When I wrote Gates of the Garden, connect with Chaucer. He was my friend. He was alive to me, and I wanted to treat him right. I wanted to get him out alive, and I wanted to get him out alive, to be the hero, to save the girl, to make the day. I wanted him to become what I expected him to become. So he wouldn't be all okay. I mean, I was going to hurt him, but I was going to hurt him with a purpose. I was going to make you care about him, but at the same time, I wanted him to be okay. So if your character's not alive, something is wrong. That's the end of phase 5. I've got the hiccups now. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, that was 4 seconds. The writer, as a teenage mutant ninja lemur. For copyright purposes, we've decided not to use the word that is a synonym with terrapin. Have shocking original ideas. All right, I want you to click that link. Why settle for a B when you can have this? Click that link. Again, we are on howtobangyyourhead.blogspot.com. Click on phase 6, becoming a good writer. This is becoming a good writer because once you become a writer, once you understand the elements of writing, you need to become a good writer. We need to have you be a good writer. So get rid of blasé ideas. Why have bees when you can have a Dobson fly? What is a Dobson fly? Well, what you're looking at there on that picture is a male Dobson fly. Males have tusks. They have tusks, and you can pick them up. They won't bite you. Now, if you look at the other pictures of Dobson flies, those are the females. Females have mandibles, and they will hurt you. Dobson flies are awesome. They live 7 years in the water, under the mud, in a lake. They're called Helgormites, and they're great bait. And then they erupt and cocoonate and pupate and pulsate out of there for 7 days. They're this demonic, hellish-looking, freakishly evil thing that attacks you, called the Dobson fly, for 7 days. And then they have to procreate and get all done with that stuff and make new eggs. And then 7 years in the water again with their babies. Or their babies in the water 7 years, not that they die, of course. But why have bees when you can have Dobson flies? So that's what I'm saying. Shocking ideas. But I want you to have shocking ideas first and foremost. Don't be boring. Don't be boring. I read the most boring book when I was a kid, and it was a very inappropriate book for me to read called Foggage, Foggage, and it was about a northern couple. I don't know if they were Welsh or what, but it was cold, and so they had sex with each other to get warm, and it was just horrible. It was boring. I thought it was going to be like, well, I don't know, another interesting book, but it wasn't. It was horrible, and I rue the day that I read that book because it sharpened my mind to sexual deviancy at a young age, and I didn't need to go there because, raging hormones and all that excess garbage that you're dealing with anyway. Anyway, thank God I didn't have a sister, but I regret. Anyway, I would have never done that. But the point is that it was too shocking. So you can be shocking, but don't be blasé. And I guess maybe there should have been a note on the front of the book that this is not intended for people under the age of 8. Or when did I read that? Maybe I was 8 under 10, about the same time that I saw American Werewolf in London, which they said it was going to be a comedy. Oh my God, no! The part with the orcs slit that guy's throat when they're killing his family in front of him. I had nightmares about that for like 2 decades, man. Like seriously, in my 30s, I finally got over that movie. Oh, American Werewolf in London. It was horrible. I was ruined. So just make sure kids aren't watching your stuff. If you're going to do that kind of stuff or reading your stuff, if you're going to do that kind of stuff, be shocking, be original, be shocking, and be yourself. Don't lie to them. Make them laugh, make them cry. The more you can swing them up, the more you can swing them down. Be yourself. Drink coffee. Caffeine stimulates the brain to work at 105% creativity capacity. Steal every idea. Steal every idea. There's a great scene I want to play for you from Pirates of Silicon Valley. And it's Bill Gates is talking to that one nerd.
I obviously made a mistake.
Steve Jobs. That's Steve Jobs talking.
I made a mistake.
This is right when Steve
I
Jobs
trusted.
finds out that Bill Gates is like
I believed.
horrible person.
Family. Maybe a mafia family. You turn your back and you get whacked. Our guys come back from Japan with this NEC. And it's loaded with Microsoft programs. Your Microsoft programs.
Good movie,
They're
by the
almost
way.
identical to ours. There may be some similarities, Steve. Similarities. Similarities. Try theft.
Steve, all cars have steering wheels, but no one tries to claim that the steering wheel was their invention.
We have a contract, you and I.
Well, you should read it more carefully.
What is this? This is like doing business with it's like a praying mantis, huh? You get seduced and then eaten alive afterwards.
Get real, will you? You and I are both like guys that had this rich neighbor, Xerox, that left the door open all the time. And you go sneaking in to steal a TV set. Only when you get there, you realize that I got there first. I got the loot, Steve! And you're yelling? That's not fair! I wanted to try to steal it first.
Here it comes.
You're too late.
Get ready.
We're better than you are. We have better stuff.
You don't get it, Steve. That doesn't matter.
That's the end of the scene. You don't get it, Steve. That doesn't matter. There are a lot of better books than 50 Shades of Grey. A lot. Like most books are better than that crap. And she stole from Twilight because it was fan fiction. It was basically just fan fiction. Who did Twilight steal from? Bram Stoker, every other writer that was garbage. But it doesn't matter. See, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates both stole from Xerox. But it didn't matter. What mattered? Bill Gates licensed. He marketed better. He got it out there faster. So there's going to come a time where you realize that, especially through all the other stuff, that your writing is much better. And not to be conceited, but your writing is much better than somebody else's. And that's not what we're going to talk about right now, because we're not talking about marketing. But you need to understand that it will happen. And you need to learn from their mistakes. Steal every great idea. I have a friend right now, and I'm going to tell you her name because she is awesome. Annabelle Altman. Annabelle writes what is now fan fiction. And I'm not going to tell you anything about her fan fiction or where to find it, but Annabelle writes fan fiction. It's really, 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 really good, but it's very close, and her characters are already taken, trademarked, copyrighted, whatever. So I said to Annabelle, listen, you need to give me a moment to help you. And she said, okay. And I said, here's what you need to do first. Stop writing fan fiction. You need to change your characters' names, make them your own characters. I don't care if it's Robin Hood and you call him Fred. If you never tell everybody it's Robin Hood, it's okay. But if you envision, like I envision certain people when I write certain characters, and if I envision them, and then maybe even I did have a file full of faces, and I'd say, oh, that person likes jazz music, or oh, this person has red sneakers, character creation, and I'd say, oh, that person acts just like Alice, or that person acts like Jim. No one who reads the book is ever going to know Alice or Jim or Robin Hood or whoever Annabelle writes about. They're going to know those characters. So I said, change the names of your characters, rename them, and then rewrite those parts that are very specific to that show. Get rid of that, and you're going to have your own story. And she said, yes, she will. And she's doing it. It's good. But, hey, man, we all got here. We all rode the backs of giants to get here. So why pretend, right? Nothing is new under the sun. Avoid passivity. Avoid being passive. Nobody likes the mundane. That's the end of part number 6. Part 7, becoming 1337. 1337 is elite in hacker code. 1337. Elite just means better than the rest. And so phase 7, how to avoid frustration. The writer is a fat, wise owl. And due to time constraints, we're going to have to quickly, phase 6, phase 7, breeze through. Introduce all ideas, plots, themes, and characters in the first 1/3 of your story. There's nothing worse than being tricked by as a reader. There it is, Michael Crichton in Micro. Chekhov's gun. There's a link there. Look at what is Chekhov's gun. Chekhov's gun basically is the premise that if I introduce a gun or a rifle, it's the actual analogy. If I introduce a rifle in the first act, I'd better pull the trigger at the end. Otherwise, why introduce it, right? Going back to Chuffa. Why introduce it? Okay? If Jules and, anyway, those two characters sit in the car and talk about hamburgers, and then they go to have a big kahuna burger with Brad, and they blow his brains out. That's interesting. That's kind of Chekhov's gun. Not a literal gun, but a Chekhov's hamburger. But if there's two guys walk in and then they talk about a dog and then they kill each other, that's Chuffa. Wait, did I just confuse analogies? I think I did. Hold on, sorry. Fighting a tickle because I've been talking for 1 hour, 49 minutes, and 58 seconds, except for that 2-minute break. Always write down every idea. Okay, here's something to do. You need to Google right now, google.com. H.P. Lovecraft Commonplace Book. It is a tiny little scrapbook that he had that he wrote down ideas. What if a ghost was a dog and it ate my mom? That could be a story, but a lot of these things H.P. Lovecraft never did anything with. I have ideas like that. I have a lot of ideas like that. I have this one book that I know about the white dots that I'm not going to tell you anything else because I still remember the exact dream, but I got up and wrote down about a paragraph when I woke up from this dream, and now I can recall the entire dream. And I know it's a story, and I just haven't done it yet. I need to do it, but I haven't done it yet. It's a good dream. Always write down every idea. The reader is your best friend. Like the customer at a store, they pay you. They pay your wage. If you can make your readers happy, you can make yourself rich. Basically all there is to it. I write what I love. I don't write what they want to read, but I write what I love. And if I love it, my beta readers like it, then yes, they're gonna love it. Know whom you mimic. I write like Jack London. My wife writes like Karen Marie Monty. My wife loves to read books about 30 or 40. What's her name? Marlinier? Juliet? Hold on, let me Google this real quick. Yeah. Okay, it's hard to spell her last name. That's why I had to Google it. We went and saw Juliet Marlinier. Juliet. Last name is spelled Marillier. Marillier. We went and saw her live doing at a con. It was a small con down in Cincinnati or something like that. And we took her out to tea afterwards, and I just drilled her with questions, we got some headshots and some cool photos. But she's my wife's second favorite author. I read one of her books because I needed to know who she was as a person before I met her, right? So I read one of her books, one of her oldest books, and she can go into 6 or 7 pages of just describing a forest. And I'm like, that is just so not me. It's a craft. I appreciate that craft, but I can't do that. I'm like, I'll. Write every day. You need to write every day. And this is a funny little video. This is Cake He's striving and driving, burning for the course, and thinking of someone for whom he still burns. He's going the distance. And it's all about a guy who somebody's already taken the cup home. They've won the race. He doesn't feel fulfilled. So that's the thing, man. If you just continue to feel fulfilled and stop, you're not going to be doing yourself any favors. I think Stephen King writes 3,000 words a day, whether he wants to or not. I write about 500 a day, whether I want to or not. And get to that place in my life where I write 5,000 a day, and just continue pounding it out. And that's not even editing at all. That's just writing, straight raw writing, which you'll find the differences as we go along. We're almost done. Use periods, he said, because commas and exclamation points should be very, very rare. Periods, and he said, because like code, he said, becomes, they don't even read those two words. They just say, oh, yep. It's as if they picture his mouth closing. Language is a funny thing. When you use the same things, it becomes a helpful guide, a tool. And man, I've got that tickle. I'm sorry. Read it aloud. And here I put this in quotes. You will find out what will work and what does not work. It's horrible. How about you'll find out what works and what doesn't. So if I had typed that out, which I did, you will find out what will work and what does not work. You'll find out what works and what doesn't. Concise, simple. That's how I speak. That's how I'm going to write. Okay? If you have somebody who speaks specifically, you need to find a person who you want that person to sound like and ask them to say a sentence. Well, that's not what I would have said. I would have said this. And then they'll say that, and that's what you type. Say, or go. It's easier to find a video of somebody. A YouTube personality would do it better for you. If you want a famous, YouTube person, you would go and get them. Good grammar is your friend. Okay, so here's where you show of hands for ire of my lack of capitalization and correct punctuation in this entire presentation. Because on purpose, when I'm not writing for publication, I write a lot of times without capitalization because doing this is so annoying. So I don't shift. And I've trained myself to, especially on social media, and I did it this way on purpose because it was A, quicker, and B, I wanted to prove a point. I did it this way without showing capitalization on purpose, because it's good grammar. Like when we listen to the Vun video. What do you think I am, a nerd? I don't spend my time. I'm not the best speller. That's why there's editors. She's like, no, they're gonna. And Grammatic and Grammatic or whatever the program's called. But listen, guys, I've been talking now for almost 2 hours, and there's a lot of things that I want you to learn, and I want you to know about, and I want you to understand. If you found this helpful, if you found this video helpful, then I want you to tell me. I want you to share it with your friends. I want you to learn and grow as good writers. It's one of my goals in life to preach a quality message. And most of the time I preach about how if Jesus dies for you and you accept him, you can go to heaven. But I also want to preach about practical things of this life that are not to do so much with theology, but with practical application. Very pragmatic about wanting people to understand how to be a good writer. I didn't have any mentors. I wish I would have. I will say that Terry Van Way, my 6th grade teacher, turned me on to the love of reading. But as far as a personal mentor or a tutor taking me through that journey, that process, I have not had that. I would like to be that for you. As I give the invitation to Annabelle and to Neely Jacera, I'll give the invitation to you. If you need someone to help be a better writer, I will. Mark Fruki, Mark Anthony Smith, a couple of others want to write and have started slowly. But I encourage you, if you like to sit down and write, whether it be essays or instruction manuals, please give me a holler. My email is polyhart@gmail.com. And just give me a holler, put it in the subject line. Polly, you told me you'd help me, you big poop. If you don't, I'm going to tickle you till you pee or something. I don't care what you put in there, but let me know that you need help, and I'll be glad to help you. In the meantime, enjoy your day and try to follow some of the steps. I don't know. I kind of started from scratch, from the banging your head phase, and wanted to get you all the way through. So if you found anything helpful, no matter what you are, where you are in the process, you can always Google good tips for writers, and you'll come up with one guy has like 301 or something crazy. But I expect to find more of the longer ones. Find some of the longer essays and articles about getting good tips, because one or two in that listing of 10 or 12 will definitely be helpful to you. Okay, I appreciate you guys watching. Godspeed, God bless, and I will see you later. And we're going to end the stream. Bye.